Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Local St. Charles podcast. I'm Ken Tucker with Changescape Web, and today I'm here with Mick Goslin of ScholarPath. Welcome, Mick.
Thanks for having me, Ken. I appreciate having me on the show.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you and learn more about what you do and how you got into working with ScholarPath and what all ScholarPath's about. So, if you wouldn't mind, just take a couple of minutes and give everybody an idea of your background and also what ScholarPath is all about, and also your role in ScholarPath.
Yeah, sure. I came to ScholarPath go right at 2 years ago now. I'd had a background in business world, business to business sales, material handling business, family owned. Had changed through a couple different companies and switched over into the aerial equipment with United Rentals. Was with them for about 10 years. Okay. And then about 12, 13 years ago, I did kind of a career change and got out of that material handling business to business and got into the financial services side of it. Was with a company called Thrivent Financial for about 10 years and had a parting of ways and was trying to figure out what to do. And one of my old actual friends, I used to helped coach him when he was a wrestler back in high school. He had worked for my wife and I when he was in high school in a little summer business. He reached out to me and shared with me what he was doing with ScholarPath, a startup company. And in a nutshell, we are a platform that helps high school students research, explore career paths and opportunities. And we give what we call providers, colleges, businesses, military, a direct conduit to share information with high school students about different opportunities that are out there. Was very intriguing to me. I didn't get a college degree. I went into the workforce, grew up in that era. I'm 57, grew up in that era, though, that everybody has to get a college degree. And we're starting to find out that that's not the only path. Right. More and more people are starting to be open-minded to it. So when ScholarPath showed up with the ability of a way to let the kids directly find out about opportunities that are out in the real world other than just college being the only solution, I jumped all over it, started working part-time at 60 hours a week. My wife wanted to know how 60 hours a week is part-time. But it's been a fun ride so far. I'm about 2 years in. The company's about 3.5 years in, and we're sitting in a spot that we are in several states out of Missouri. We're waiting on results for a state contract that would be paying us to be available to every high school in the state of Missouri at no charge to the high school.
Okay.
Anxious to be out there helping kids figure out what they want to do, Ken.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about the information that universities and businesses provide through your platform. Yes. What does that look like? I mean, those aren't job listings, are they?
They can be. They can be letting the kids know. I keep saying the kids, letting the students know about very specific job opportunities, internships, apprenticeships, specific scholarships that are available. If you're talking about the universities, okay. The trade schools like us, they get to educate the students about what's available, about being in a trade. We have a lot of jobs out in this world that are a need for a highly skilled employee. We happen to label that, though, as a trade, and right. It gets looked down on a lot of times. So our platform lets let's say the Carpenters Hall be able to inform students what they can make, how much money they can earn, what the benefits are, what the working conditions look like. Yeah. But they can be very specific about it. They have the ability with our platform to use selection criteria to find the kids that they want to get the information to. So one of our big things that we've been getting a lot of interest in is the big push for the diversity, equity, inclusion, the DE&I. Yeah. With our platform, an entity can select all of the girls, females that have taken an Algebra 1 class that has gotten at least a B in it, that has also participated in a sport, and let them, or an outside activity, and push information just to that group to let them know why the construction world is really of an opportunity for these females to be involved with.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So how did, I mean, it sounds like you may have covered this a little bit, but more specifically, can you talk about why was ScholarPath created? I
Yeah.
mean, it sounds like, I mean, obviously there's this huge mismatch, both from perceptions, but also, you know, as people are looking for job opportunities, you know, they don't really know always the best place to go.
Yep.
And the employers don't always know the best way to go find the prospective employees.
100%. The company came about, it's actually two brothers, set of twins, Doug and Bill Mitchell. They're from the St. Charles County area, St. Charles West High School. Both came up through wrestling, and have a lot of our company still has a lot of involvement with high school, college wrestling world. So there's a lot of connections through there. But they took two very different paths. Doug started working right out of school. They had some family issues, were homeless for a while. Doug started working directly out of school, and they started concentrating on Bill getting a college degree. Doug has been an entrepreneur, owns several businesses, currently owns a flooring company also. Bill went on to get a degree, got his master's, became a teacher, and has been in that world. So there's been this two sides, set of twins, that have had two very different paths that were helping coach at Lindenwood University wrestling.
Okay.
And Doug and them were bringing students in from all over the country. And Doug had one of the students that he brought in out of California, very rough area, low economic side, brought the kid to Lindenwood. The guy won 3 national championships, just excelled, did phenomenal, but came back to Doug later and said, hey, and became a police officer. Okay. So he had $100,000 in student debt. He's making $30,000 a year as a police officer in St. Louis, one of the municipalities, and said, hey, thanks for messing my life up. Well, Doug was like, I never even thought that there could be a negative to getting a kid to a college education, but they didn't know the system. They didn't know how to do it right. So it really got started as an idea of almost a college placement type app to help get kids to college for the least amount of money as possible.
Okay.
But then when they started seeing the mismatch and the disconnect of the outside business world and the need for employees outside of just college degrees, it really turned into this more of a workforce development, career path identification, 12th grade transition tool that we're working on today.
Okay. Would you say that that's still the main focus, or are you guys starting to get more and more involvement, from universities and colleges, and, even like nursing schools and things like that, plugged into your platform?
Yeah, so we're seeing it on all levels because it is attractive to whatever that path might be to like I said, what we call the providers. The colleges can be very specific with we have a search criteria engine. All of the student data is de-individualized and aggregated. So we're dealing with minors data. We have to meet all FERPA regulations.
Right.
So nobody can you as a company could not find your grandson or granddaughter at a specific school, but you would be able to say that you have a message that you want to send to every student in 9th and 10th grade that has taken a marketing class at St. Charles High School.
Okay.
Our platform tells you there's 100 kids that meet that criteria, and then through a news feed, I hate saying social media, that can be tough, but it looks like a social media style platform, news feed. You can push very specific information to just that group. So instead of flooding every kid in the school with the information that it's really not pertinent to a lot of them, a provider can be very specific. A college can pick GPA, ACT score, and specific activities that the students have done, and know that that student would qualify for X scholarships. And our platform lets them know that.
Okay. Interesting. So I would assume that the students individually could choose to opt out if they didn't want to get the
Yep.
information from that news feed as well. So
Yep, exactly.
yeah. Okay. Well, and I know, I'm not certainly plugged into this, but I've heard rumblings that, standardized tests at the college level, like the ACT and SAT, are kind of starting to fall out of
Yeah.
favor. So it's interesting that you've got a solution that kind of bridges that gap a little bit. It doesn't replace, the standardized test by any means, but it does give the tools to both, the students and the educators the opportunity to, to share information. So that's pretty cool. And I love the fact that there's a platform out there to help people get connected to the non-college path.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, and they need to, Ken, I get that starts getting on my soapbox, and I'll tell just a quick if we have time.
Sure.
I was with my wife, with my father-in-law, excuse me, was in the hospital getting some tests done. My wife and I were sitting in the cafeteria area of the hospital waiting, and it's a big atrium style setup. Saw two ropes hanging down the outside of the big atrium deal, and I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, well, roofers, window cleaners, just kind of wondering. Here come two guys rappelling down the side of the building and get down to the ground. Well, it ends up they were window cleaners, but I thought I got to go have a conversation. I got up and I walked outside. Two very different people, very different. And I just gave them a quick of that we work with high school kids on informing them, educating them about different career paths. And I asked them both how they got involved being window washers. Well, neither one of them said when I was in high school, I want to be a window washer.
Sure.
Didn't find out about it till later in life. Union job, journeyman pay. I hate quoting numbers because I could be off and somebody can be mad at me, but it's in the upper 20s, low 30s of hourly pay for journeyman pay. I never thought to talk to a kid about being a window washer. But what our platform does is lets a company that does that push information to groups of students, show these guys rappelling off the side of the building, and have the ability to let a kid know that, you can make $60,000 a year, no college degree debt, with a union job, building a pension, hanging off the side of a building. Who'd be interested?
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So, how in the world do businesses, find out about your platform and be able to take advantage of that? And I assume your involvement in the chamber has been kind of instrumental in helping you build that relationship. So can you talk about your relationship with the chamber and just, how businesses can get plugged in?
Yeah, they've been phenomenal here at the chamber. Scott Tate, Lori Tainer, Wendy, Terry McCrum, before they lost her, she went and retired on us. Yeah. Shame on her. But yeah, we actually have a partnership with the chamber. Any of the chamber members currently, there's no charge for the companies to get onto the platform. Part of that is due to we only have in the Missouri area right now, mainly in St. Charles, about 3,000 students in the platform, several of the schools. But the companies do have the ability to either reach out to the chamber or give a call, email straight to us, and we have a representative come out. Doesn't have to, but we're willing to come out, share the platform with them, or they literally can go to our www.scholarpath.com and they can sign up online. It lets them build a homepage, kind of like your main page on your website, but lets them there put links, share information, connect, and they can get on the platform right off the bat. We do have engagement specialists internal that would then share information, videos, tutorials, or help them work through any questions that they have to start building the information that they want sent to the students.
Yeah. Okay. So is that just that page would just be available inside of the platform, right? It's not public facing.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Yeah. Cool. So, so I guess it really also could help with like military recruitment. Is that
Yeah.
true as well?
100%. The military recruiters are begging to be able to get their message to these students. Some schools, some high schools are great with trying to work with the military to give access and let them inform the kids. Other districts just, I mean, they put an additional wall up there. But it lets them be very specific about our platform. Actually will we had it technology wise, we have a crosswalk built from what class codes the kids are taking to how does that relate to a pathway of jobs that then go actually to SOC codes. So inside the platform, whether the student knows it or not, our platform will say you've taken these classes, which means you are on the path that would have you coming out of high school at the best level to be educated for these jobs. Inside our platform, we use basically an ONET survey evaluation that the kids take. And it says, barring money, money not included, do you think you would like to do X? And it's 60 questions. Off of those 60 questions, the platform tells the student, here are the top several jobs, occupations in these 6 different paths that would be in line with what you say you like. We're not pigeonholing. We're not saying this is all you can do. We intentionally make sure they know that you can be in human resources, you can be in hospitality industry, you can be in the manufacturing industry. We give them those closest matches in each of the industries. And then the outside providers in those industries can push information to the kids that scored highest in those areas.
Okay.
To make that match a little closer.
Yeah. I'm thinking back, for myself a long time ago, when I was in high school and certainly in college, I had no clue what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to college. I'm a lifelong learner. I love learning. It's always been a big deal for me. And that's one of the reasons why I love doing what I do, because digital marketing is changing all the time. I have to stay up to date with this stuff.
Right.
But, if you would have asked me what I wanted to do and the collection of classes I took things because I wanted to learn, not necessarily ever thinking about, hey, I'm going to go down this career path. I had language classes. I had, the science classes and math classes. And I was just really all over the place. And I wound up with a philosophy degree. So, which is as general as, I started out, science.
Do you ponder on why you got the philosophy degree?
I am very self-reflective. I'll tell you that for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, it would just be interesting for me to see, how you could help somebody really, kind of crystallize.
Right.
If you would have told me when I was in high school that I was going to go into computer science, and developing software and then running a marketing company, I would have laughed at you. I had no idea what I was going to do, but I would never have picked those things. So talk about how your platform, kind of helps sort that out.
Yeah. A couple things on that. The platform is built that the more that it's used, the students interact with the platform on a couple different ways. One of them is just what their school, how they're doing, their attendance, the classes they're taking, the grades that they're getting. This basically information that's inside the student information system. The other thing that we do as a platform, we have several different and always changing surveys that the students can take that then, based on how they're responding and interacting to the surveys, lets the platform continuously say, hey, you are having all these actions that align with this. You might not even know it's out there, but just by your actions and behaviors and likes and wants and what you're doing, you really are aligning this way. The other thing it does is I truly believe that the more the outside world can put information and opportunities and ideas in front of kids, the kids are going to latch on to stuff. And not picking on the schools or the counselors, but they don't have the time or the resources or the bandwidth of what all is out there. But the more opportunities that can be thrown in front of the students, the more of a chance the student goes, well, I didn't even think about that. I never thought that I'd have any interest in that.
Right.
And we can change the conversation at the kitchen table is what we're chasing to, Ken, is I just, with some very good friends from church that have a daughter, she's like a daughter that we didn't have, got married, but she went through school, very good at math, actually became a woman engineer. Just don't see it hardly at all. Did a great job. And I'm talking with her the other day, and I wanted to kind of use her as a kind of a poster child and go back to the, the tech STL and bio STL and say, hey, here's a gal you can really put in front of people and say, women can do this, right? I talked to her about it and she goes, Mom and Dad didn't tell you? I go, tell me what? And she goes, I quit my job. And I'm like, your engineering job? And she's like, yeah. I go, what are you doing? She goes, I'm going to cook. I've always loved to cook, bake. I want to be a cook or a chef. And I looked at her and I go, how did we fail you? Because we failed her, the parents failed her, the school failed her, because she was good at math. She was open to engineering. Go be an engineer. But in our platform, she'd have been doing stuff that would have been popping up with the culinary schools or the entrepreneurial side or the food trucks you can do, and give her that ability to sit in front of Mom and Dad and say, I'm really thinking about this. And look, I can get a job that pays this and I can get these benefits. And it is a viable option compared to just being an engineer.
Yeah.
So
speaking of that, I mean, do you work with mid-level career people, or people who are thinking about transitioning jobs too? Because, with the everything that's been happening in the last 3 years, around COVID and, the changing in the workforce, that seems to me like there's a big need there as well. And the example you gave, is probably a pretty good indication that that's a needed kind of a function.
Yeah. So 2 steps on that. We had to start somewhere, and our start was in the kids in the high schools.
Sure.
The education side is driving us lower, down lower in grades. We initially interact with the students in 8th grade so that the school can put together what classes the kids need based on what career they think they're going. So do an assessment in 8th grade and can be redone through your high school career. But then the school says, well, for that path, you should be taking these electives. That's the best things we have for you to be able to do that. Well, they're driving us lower. They're wanting to start doing this career identification and career planning down into 7th, 6th, even 5th grade. They're even having, a lot of districts are having conversations about how do we start educating grade schoolers just about jobs in general. What is a job? Why do you have a job?
Right.
You have to go to a job. You have an employee. So we're getting pushed down that way. The other thing that we're getting begged for is the other side of it. Our platform lets our students that are seniors, when they graduate, they can keep for free lifelong membership, lifelong access to the platform. So once they're 18, they're out of school, they can still have on a platform. So that generically is going to give providers access as we have graduations to more and more students that are either in college or in the workforce. And we do have full intentions down the road to focus more on that area.
Okay. All right. Interesting. So any exciting news or growth on the, on the front of ScholarPath that you want to share with us?
Yeah, our big hope here in Missouri is they did issue an RFP for an education platform for what we do. We've responded, have interaction. You never know that it's done until it's done, but we did a partnership actually with Worldwide Technologies for the response to the RFP that we did to be in or offered to every high school in the state of Missouri. We are currently under contract. We were on a pilot program out in North Carolina for up to 150,000 students in North Carolina, and they're currently have us back in budget for statewide launch in North Carolina.
Okay.
Arizona, we are in an introductory program down there right now. We're in process of the 3 districts that we're going to be working with, and those are our hot spots currently, but we are also, besides those 3 states, or in addition, we are legislating in 6 other states in the United States for our platform to be offered into the school districts.
Okay. Well, from my experience doing some state contracting in the past, once you get a nice solution in and a state government has success with it, it's easy to get into other states. I mean, you have to go through the RFP process and and the the evaluation and vetting process. But so good for you. It sounds really exciting.
Yeah, and the one of the hardest things, you just made me think of it. We're doing something different, and people don't like different a lot of times, or they try to pigeonhole you with something else that is going on. So some of the stuff that we do on our platform, there are other companies that do it. College research. There's college research platforms out the wazoo. Wazoo. I don't know if that's a word or use that word or not.
I use it.
But there's a lot of platforms that do that. The career identification, determining a path. There are places that do that. But the thing that we do that no competitor in the United States does, is give that ability for that outside provider to proactively identify a group of students that they want their very specific message to be given to.
Yeah.
And then with the ability to anonymously even communicate and connect to that person. And we actually have a patent pending on that communication software. And then after that, if the student's parents say, yes, we want our student to be able to communicate with Boeing, they actually can allow that direct. And then Boeing can find out not only who that student is, but the student has the ability to send an unofficial transcript and basically a life resume right through the platform to that company to start that connection and that interaction and that potential relationship for down the road.
Okay.
And that no one else has that communication ability or that ability to reach a very specific audience.
Yeah.
It isn't out there.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. Well, Mick, I've enjoyed talking with you today and learning more about ScholarPath. Sounds like you guys are doing some really cool stuff. I love solving problems, and it sounds like you guys are solving a really big problem that we have. And I know it's challenging, to work through a lot of different legislative jurisdictions, but public-private partnerships can be really powerful, and it sounds like you guys are starting to, kind of launch, and move forward with a lot of that stuff. So that's fantastic. Anything else that you want to let us know about ScholarPath, and also, folks who are watching this can see the contact information, how to get a hold of you, through the website or through social media handles. But if you have anything else, I'd love for you to wrap this up.
Yeah, my biggest thing, Ken, I think I'm a salesman at heart, and I don't take that as a negative thing. A lot of people look down on sales, but my sales background's always been about education, so they're really together.
Right.
And the key to us, or the key to anybody that would want to be involved with ScholarPath, is if you have a message, and that message can be a job, an opportunity, information about why your company is great, information about why a student should consider your industry. If you have information that you feel as a company would be beneficial to have in high school students' hands, our phone should be ringing off the hook, and we'll give you a conduit to start educating these kids about what's out here in the real world. The education system gets to keep the kids for 12 years, 13 years with kindergarten, and the outside world has them for 50 plus.
Yeah.
So let's let the 50 plus side start letting these kids know what's out there and available to them.
Yeah. Well, you know, I just think back about my career path, and I got, you know, I got involved, and I worked for some small businesses that were doing largely, you know, government contracting. But living where I lived, I never worked supporting a client where I lived. And so, you know, when I started my own company, and I joined the chamber, it's like my eyes were open. It's like, you're kidding me. People do this for a living? I had no idea, you know,
Right.
because we all have our life experiences, and that, you know, that can really limit us in what we choose to do and what our potential is. And the more we can expose people to, you know, greater opportunities, you know, including the, you know, the diversity, equity, and inclusion, you know, I think that's just going to make it better for everybody.
Well, I'm not a touchy feely emotional kind of guy, but every kid needs to know or needs to hear at some point in his life, you're wanted for something, you're good for something. And we're not always the best in our current systems of making that happen. And we even had a little bit of pushback on, well, should you really be collecting attendance on kids? You know, that's nobody's business, maybe, or maybe people will only want the kids with high attendance. And we've worked with legal, and it's all okay for everything because it's all de-individualized, aggregated.
Sure.
But there's organizations out there that with our platform, they can say, we want to get information to every kid that had 90% and higher attendance as a freshman, but as a sophomore, their attendance drops below 80%. There's something going on probably in that kid's life. And there's a lot of people and resources and opportunities out there for people to say, hey, if you need any help, we're here. So we didn't even really talk on it, but the nonprofits, any and all nonprofits, they're free, and they will stay free in our platform, the vast majority of them.
Awesome.
So that these kids, and they can try to help find those kids or at least be there.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm sorry, I veered off a little bit, but it's this is a chance that every kid will hear somebody say, we want you because. The kid that's sitting in his basement every night, not involved with sports, his grades might be failing, but he loves video games out of this world. I fell out of my seat one day when I found out the colleges are offering full ride scholarships for esports. And I actually had somebody tell me 3 times that esport actually is playing a video game.
Yeah.
I said, well, you told me they built an auditorium though for esports. And they're like, yeah, the school built. So
one of the largest spectator sports in the world.
Esports?
Yeah.
There you go. These kids aren't hearing much about it, though.
So, all right. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Mick. I enjoyed our conversation, and best of luck to you and to ScholarPath.
All right, Ken. Thank you very much.
Thank you.